G'day, me and my wellness viewers, listeners, for another me and my health up. This week we're blessed to have Miranda Claire. Miranda Claire's a health and mindset expert. So she studies in the field of NLP. She's not only a practitioner in NLP, she's actually a teacher of NLP strategies. So she's done a lot with corporates and individuals in helping them become the best version of themselves, as well as now in the space of relationships. So this is what we're going to be exploring today is relationships and how we can not only nurture a great relationship if we're in one, but if we're looking for that fantastic relationship, how do we find it? And Miranda's going to give us some hot tips on how to enhance current relationships and how to find your soulmate if you're not in a relationship. So welcome, Miranda. So pleased to have you on for episode 9.
Thank you so much for having me, Anthony. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm just delighted to have you because you're just such a inspiration in terms of our pre-discussion. I learned so much in 5 minutes of you just talking about relationships, and so I've certainly got some tips that I can walk away with.
My favorite topic. It's hard to shut me up. That's the challenge when it comes to relationships.
You're a wealth of knowledge in the area. I'm really keen. I always love finding out, practitioners' background and their story as to how they've come upon their calling, so to speak. And yours being you're the soulmate coach. How did you come into finding yourself as the soulmate coach?
It's a really good question. I've actually been a master trainer of things like NLP, life coaching, communication, sales, relationships, confidence. I've got a pretty big portfolio of things that I train people in and on as a trainer and as a coach. I could summarize all that by saying I'm a mindset expert and a motivational speaker, I guess. So yes, and a young Aussie female Tommy, can't even talk today, Tony Robbins, if you like. And I guess what led me to this path of helping people and loving this whole line of inspirational work and human behavior was, to be honest with you, all humans, have struggles and have times in their life where they reach rock bottom, or they ask the big questions in life, or they kind of become a bit lost. And I guess that happened for me. And I went on a path of self-discovery and kind of found myself at my very first motivational seminar or something like that. And I guess at the time I was on a little bit of a mission to not only find myself, but find what I was kind of born to do and find my purpose and my passion. And the penny kind of dropped for me in that seminar, because in a previous life, in high school and stuff like that, I was very much into acting, and I loved being on stages and entertaining people. And in particular, I loved morphing into all of the different characters and the psychological elements. And I was considering doing psychology at uni for that reason. And I also, from a young age, loved business. And I used to set up a little pretend shop out the front of my grandparents' home and actually sell little things of potpourri that I'd made to bushwalkers. So that was my beginning of being an entrepreneur. And I guess when I saw it all come together in that moment, and I was like, there's someone engaging and entertaining the room, but it's about something really psychological and meaningful. And this is a business. I think a few pennies dropped in that moment. And so I obviously started as a student. I wasn't the mentor straight away. And I did my time. I earned my right. I did my apprenticeship by just filling up this brain with knowledge. And initially I used it in the corporate world and in my own personal life. And I started seeing my own results absolutely skyrocket in business, in relationships. I went from being in very toxic relationships and having a toxic relationship with myself, most importantly, to really transforming that. And everything changed from my romantic relationships, relationship with self, relationship with friends and family. And I was like, wow, there's really something in this. And it really made me realize that life is relationships, because life is just a whole series of goals and results, really. And the thing that makes it meaningful or doable is the people in our lives and how we communicate with them and how we feel about ourselves. And all of those issues around confidence and love and connection are really, really absolutely massive. And I really do believe that love is one of our deepest human needs. So over the last 10 years, I've taken massive action. And yes, I certify lots of coaches and help them do what I'm doing. I certify a lot of people and help them become motivational speakers and entrepreneurs. But I guess my personal brand and how I gift wrap all of that is as the soulmate coach. And what that means, my tagline is that I help singles meet their soulmate and I help couples find their spark. So obviously I work with couples and help them reignite the magic and really master things like communication and self-love within that partnership. And I also help singles with everything from their psychology, their self-love, even their personal styling and grooming, all the way through to helping them create a Tinder profile. Or I do whatever it takes to kind of be their guardian angel, their coach, and even kind of their hitch when it comes to love. And but at the end of the day, it really does come down to that relationship with yourself. So even if someone is like not in a partnership or not even wanting to meet someone, but they really want to say, I look in the mirror and I really love who I see looking back at me, then that's the ultimate relationship I love helping people work on as well.
Yeah,
So
fantastic.
that's been my journey. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's an inspirational journey, and I love how all the dots have joined together to bring, to take you to where you are today. It's sort
So
of,
true.
yeah,
It's so
yeah,
true. You actually just gave me goosebumps with that comment, because when I'm working with clients and they say, how do you know your passion and purpose, to go from corporate to what you're doing? And I actually grew up quite poor. So it's not like I was given any kind of blueprint or leg up, I really, really did this all off my own back. And I said, you know what, you don't just wake up and it punches you in the face. It's like those drawings, and this is why I had goosebumps. It's like the drawings, the dot to dot drawings, where you go, I like this seminar. That book really touched my soul. I loved that conversation. And then one day when you have that aha moment, it's not just that aha moment you're having, it's that the whole picture's coming together, made up of all the little dots. So
absolutely, it's so true for you. It's incredible.
mm,
You touched on a very important point there, and that was relationships and love, and and being so fundamental to human needs. And
mm,
when you look out or read the papers these days, you just see this ever increasing rate of separations in relationships and unhappiness around relationships. And one of people's primary concerns and talking points are around relationships and how they're not so great, and that they'd like better ones.
mm.
So really keen to get your insight as to, is there a common driver behind this, or is it, very individual and different, or what's
Yeah.
your perspective?
Look, you're totally right. Love is our deepest human need. I mean, if you get a baby, you can give it food and water and shelter, but if it's not loved and hugged and actually given that tender, loving care, it can actually die. That's how important love is to a human being. So it's not just the Disney movies that sort of portray that, and it's a nice to have. It's actually fundamental to our health and well-being and happiness and survival. And the statistics around divorce and separation and dramas in relationships are extraordinarily high, and no one gets married hoping to get a divorce. They all think that they've found their forever person. But where that gets in the way, I mean, if we look at the strategy, the biggest reason for divorce is financial, but everything in life is 80% psychology, 20% strategy. So, the money is the strategy element of that, but what's the psychology behind that? Or why does money become a deal breaker?
Right.
And I think it comes down to communication or lack of, or inability to fight well. Because, a lot of couples come to me and say, we want to stop fighting. And I say, oh, well, is your goal after that to stop it being summer or winter? Because argument, that's like trying to explain to your 2-year-old not to have a tantrum. We're emotional beings, and, honest conversations are meant to happen. And I think sometimes I love the saying, the only thing standing between you and what you want is a story you tell yourself about why you can't have it. And that quote really enforces or puts forward how powerful the stories we tell ourselves are, because so often there is the issue at hand, which the issue is the issue, but then there's the story we tell ourselves about the issue. So finances may be a point of stress, and then we have an argument, bringing in the psychology and the emotions around the finances. And then we tell ourselves a story that we're on the rocks because we're not communicating well, and we used to be in the honeymoon period and you've changed. So it's like, is money really the number one reason for divorce? Or is it the lack of communication and the emotion about the money? Or is it the story we tell ourselves about all of that? And if you keep telling yourself that story long enough, suddenly you've convinced yourself to have a divorce. And I just think if you could peel it back and go, money is money. Arguments are normal. They're just honest conversations. Let's go and learn how to communicate well. And then let's tell ourselves more useful stories like, this is totally natural. We're just in another phase of the relationship. And this is an opportunity to grow together rather than grow apart. And that's just one little nugget, but that's essentially what I work with couples on. And I absolutely love just, communication is key. It's really not just a nice to have, give it a go if you can thing. It is an absolute deal breaker. And sometimes people mistake the actual money or something like that for the deal breaker, but often it's the communication about the money with all of that emotion behind it that causes the real stuff.
Okay, now that's a fantastic tip, and so you've opened up a real gem there in the fact of, being communication. So what is it? How can we improve our communication? So what are your top tips around enhancing communication?
It's really easy to communicate well when we're on date night and everything's going well and we're having a lovely day and it's our anniversary potentially, but that's not when the rubber meets the road. It's communicating well when we don't want to communicate well. So when emotion is increased, intelligence is decreased.
Right.
And I think sometimes if we try and overcomplicate things with some really big elaborate strategy when we're already feeling a bit unintelligent because we're already emotional, sometimes simplicity works better than anything else. So something I personally use in my relationship, and I also share this with my clients, is the counting to 10 rule. Honestly, there's actually an old fable. I haven't thought of this for years, but it's just popped into my head as a metaphor where a sort of an apprentice or a student meets a wise master and he says, what's the secret to life? And essentially this master says, when you're angry, count to 10. And the student's like, and what else? And he said, when you're angry, count to 10. And it's so true because, in that moment, nothing wise is going to be said and nothing wise is going to be heard. So it's not about suppressing or bottling up. That's not what it's about. Releasing emotion is fantastic, but often we release it on the person rather than just releasing it for the sake of releasing it. So my biggest tip, it's so simple, but it's so big, is when you feel activated, when you feel triggered, whether you're single or in a relationship, if you're single and you're wanting to write a text to that guy or that girl off Tinder and go, thanks for replying, thank you so much, you're just the same as all the others, please don't. Please count to 10. And what that means is sleep on it. What that means is go for a walk around the block. What that means is metaphorically count to 10 until you're neutral. And when you're on that walk, let it out. Send voice memos to your favorite friend and have a big vent about how frustrated you are, but don't vent it on the person because nothing intelligent is going to be said or heard and you're not going to get anywhere. You'll probably just cause damage. And if you're in a partnership, say to the person, listen, I'm feeling quite emotionally charged right now. I'm going to go count to 10, which can be maximum sleeping on it. I'm going to go do what I need to do. Let's come back to this. And when you actually come back to this, it's not about sucking it up and not bringing it up again. There is just so much power in talking about the anger rather than being in the anger or whatever the emotion is. So if you react when you're reactive, the anger will be like, screw you, I'm sick of this, you don't clean enough, you don't contribute, I'm fed up, and I think you're ugly. And that's just not going to be good for anyone. Whereas if you can count to 10, vent about it on the phone, even send yourself voice memos, scream into a pillow, go and do 100 laps in the pool, go have a good workout, use it as motivation in the gym. But then you go back to that person, and this applies to family, friends, and all relationships. When you go back, there's so much more power in coming with a calm, centered Zen frame of mind and just saying, you know what, yesterday, when we had that conversation, it did bring up a lot of anger for me. I've processed through it, but that really hit on the nerve for me where I feel quite disrespected when you speak to me like that. No. Do you mind if we put some plans in place where we can communicate a little differently? Because that thing that we were talking about, speaking about it in that way, really doesn't land well with me. And if we can't do that, well, then I might need to take myself out of that situation before I'm spoken to like that again. Or you can actually come back with suggestions, with problem solving, with win-win, and you can own the anger and mention the anger without launching from the anger. And it's really much more powerful, and your point can actually get across.
I love those tips. It's, take
Mm.
10 is just so easy.
So
And
easy.
it's just
Yeah.
calming down and, coming
Yeah.
from, as you said, that point of
Exactly.
intelligence.
And you also set the game up, especially if you're in a relationship, or it can even be two sisters or a mother and daughter, but if you just say, look, let's have an agreement that we can be totally real and raw with each other, but when the emotion is heightened, let's just agree to count to 10. And what that means is, I love you too much to take this out on you in a nasty way right now. And I love you too much not to hear what I actually have to say about this. So I'm going to count to 10. I'm not abandoning you. I'm not rejecting you. I'm just actually having my temperature go from, boiling temperature to lukewarm or cool. And then I'm going to come back and we'll unpack this. And by having those ground rules in place when things are good, it's just a great little code. Like I've got, with my partner and I, we send each other a text in the middle of a bit of a heated thing. We just say, counting to 10 now. Okay, honey, counting to 10. And it almost becomes just a cute little code where you're not playing games. You're not ignoring each other. It's time out. And it just really makes a massive difference.
That's awesome. And it can apply to everyday life, every relationship. I'm just thinking, when you're out on the roads and you get a bit frustrated by someone doing something, by just counting to 10 and without
Absolutely.
exacerbating the situation by yelling
Oh,
out the window or,
100%.
doing
Because the
something.
danger is, the
Yeah.
road's a great one, but even if you get an email that really flares you
Mhm.
up, the problem is, in that irrational emotion, you feel justified in really launching back at them. But it's only in hindsight that you reread the email, you go, that was really not the right thing to do. And then you've got layered in guilt and shame and remorse, and hopefully you still have a job on Monday, etc. But it's a really good move to actually reply to that person and just say, thanks, I've received your email. I'm just going to sit on this. I'm going to come back to you in 24 hours. Or you can respond and just take that breather, even in a business context, and you will never regret doing that, but you will regret doing the opposite, even though it feels warranted at the time.
Yeah, no, it's a fantastic tip. And I was just thinking that one where you said, send a text message on counting to 10 or send a voice memo to yourself. You could also do that with the email, is send the email
Yeah.
to yourself,
Oh,
not to the respondent.
absolutely. Don't accidentally get the thing wrong. I think we've all done that once or twice in our life, where we send it to the person instead of about the person. Yeah. No, that can be really, really cathartic. Yeah, to just speak your truth unedited, even if you write it down in a journal or something, to just get it out. And that's what I mean by having the release. But you don't necessarily have to release it to the person in the moment, because
Yeah.
that's where it can become a bit destructive. And communication is absolutely key. We can all get along in the honeymoon period, but the rubber meets the road on the tough days. The relationships that work are not the ones that are like, oh, we're soulmates, we never fight, we're amazing. No, the couples that work are the ones that are like, when we have arguments, this is the strategy. When we need space, this is how we take it. When there's a problem, this is how we solve it. They have as many bad days as the people that divorce. They just switch on around that and problem solve, rather than switch off and start getting destructive. It's as
Yeah,
simple as that.
that's
Mm.
a fantastic tip. I love it.
Mm.
Yeah, we've really helped those that are in relationships, and I
Yeah.
mean to help those that are not yet in a relationship but would love to be in that loving relationship and to have some of these problems that we're talking about.
Lots to look forward to.
As the soulmate coach, how do you help this single listener find the person or the man, the woman of their dreams?
Look, everyone has already met their soulmate, is the first thing I want to say. So what is a soulmate? It's someone you're going to take your last breath with. It's someone you're going to live life with. It's someone to share the highs and lows with. It's someone to love unconditionally and have as your best friend and your teammate for life. If you want to know who that person is, go and look in the mirror, because we've all met that person. We took our first breath together, and we're going to take our last breath together, and we're going to be there on all the good days, all of the bad days. And so it's up to us whether we want. Imagine if you had a Siamese twin and the relationship with that twin was awful, and they had to go wherever you went, and every time you looked in the mirror, they whispered in your ear, you're ugly. Every time you went on a date, they said, this person isn't going to like you, you're not good enough. And imagine living a life with that person that's meant to have your back, that you're connected to for life, and they're being mean to you. And unfortunately, that's how most of us live our life. So when I say go find your soulmate, I really break down that sentence, which is go find your soul. comma, mate. Because if you can build that relationship with yourself, and it doesn't have to be, I'm so beautiful, I want to kiss myself. That's not what self-love is. Self-love is looking at yourself in the mirror, warts, cellulite, good days, bad days and all, and saying, I still think you're enough, and I still have your back, and I still love and accept you unconditionally. Because the best kind of love is unconditional love. It's not just loving yourself when you're the best version of yourself. It's loving yourself on the bad days. Imagine, you know, if you had a little child and that little kid was like crying or being naughty or overweight, or you wouldn't love that kid any less. You still love them enough to want to help them be the best version of them and have an amazing life. But they are just as enough on those bad days as they are on the good days. And that's how you need to love yourself. And that would be step one with singles wanting to find their soulmate, and also couples in a relationship. And from more of a strategy point of view, what I would say is please don't put your love life on hold during COVID, even though we're starting to get a little bit more out there with gyms and everything slowly opening. The end of the day, I hear too many people kind of saying, oh, there's no point dating. There's no point, you know, going online or anything. And I'm like, you're missing an opportunity, guys. At the moment, there is a universal filtering system happening, which means the only people that will be left online wanting to connect are the kind of people that are not into one-night stands, that are not into rushing things. You're going to get people that actually like mental and emotional connection, that actually value friendship first. So if I was being your hitch, I would probably suggest in an ideal relationship, you work on self-love. And second to that, when you meet someone, you encourage the slow burn where you have a foundation of friendship. Because, and I'm not trying to sound like, you know, our grandparents by saying this, we all have hormones, we all have attraction, we're passionate beings. I get it. However, when you're in a partnership, there's going to be moments where one of you loses your job, someone in the family dies and you're grieving, you've got no libido. And if what you started from was this firecracker connection and there wasn't a friendship built, you need to build that friendship under those very stressful circumstances. And that's where a lot of people make it or break it, because it's like they've got enough trauma or stress or anxiety going on already. Building a new friendship and building rapport with my long-term partner doesn't feel like a priority. Whereas if in the beginning you can have that foundation and go, I choose you as a mate, like I do my best friends in the world. And on top of that, there's actually chemistry and aligned life goals. How powerful is that? So for me, that's the formula: friendship, self-love always, but friendship, chemistry, and lifelong aligned goals. And so if you guys get out there and date at the moment, whether you make a new friend on Facebook or go to an online networking meeting or heaven forbid go on Tinder, please know that the slow burn that was encouraged, less so now, more so in the last couple of months, that slow burn of getting to know someone on the phone, on Zoom, is actually gold when it comes to setting yourself up for long term. So please don't give up at the moment.
Fantastic. I just love your tips. It's, you know, really for me, my takeaways have been, you know, for the couples or people in relationships or just a relationship with anyone. It doesn't have to be, you know, your specific loved one. You know, it can be broader than that, is communication. And
100%.
and I love that 10-second rule you shared us, you know, around, you know, communication. And it's not just, you know, relationships aren't just all the glamorous and the honeymoon. There's, you know, there's a lot of trying times that come with the relationships, but you've also reiterated that during those trying times, like COVID-19, that they can actually bring us closer together, because, you know, there's a common goal. You know, we're both in it. We both want to get out of it. Let's do it together. And that
absolutely. And I know I can almost hear the internal dialogue of some of the listeners going, well, it's easier said than done. And it is easier said than done. And I guess that's why there's a need for someone like me in the community that can actually be that mediator and work with couples, because then you're accountable. You're accountable to someone. And it's amazing when you have someone holding space for you, giving you the actual strategies, how something so simple like counting to 10 can actually save a marriage. You know, I worked with a couple recently, and when I spoke to them on the first session, I said, what are your issues with each other? And they both proceeded to give me about 100 bullet points each. And by the last session, just facilitating powerful, honest communication, and also doing, you know, a few other secret strategies I've got up my sleeve. By the end, I said, what are we going to work on next, guys? And there was crickets, absolute silence. because communication had absolutely saved their connection and their whole relationship. And they'd been trying to communicate for years. And I know it seems a bit weird because it's like, if we can't get it right within the partnership, what's some stranger going to do? But it is absolutely profound. It's like if you're going head to head in a business forum, and then that gets mediated by a manager or a CEO or a counselor. It's like, wow, we finally spoke our truth and put solutions in place. So it's amazing.
Yeah, I can see all the value you add. So much value in terms of that. You know, with your background and your ability to see through, I guess, the clouds and really get to the root cause, the driver behind the problem, and then work with that problem. You know, with the two couples, the couple.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the singles out there, nothing makes me happier than when I do work with the singles and then I get an email and they're like, oh my gosh, you know how we set that goal? It's so weird, but I've met my person. And yeah, and I really love helping people meet that person by becoming that person, because like attracts like. And so often we have a wish list for what we want to attract, but I help people show up as the person they want to be in that relationship. And it's really, really fulfilling and amazing work. So yeah, I love love. Hopeless romantic. What can I say?
I could hear it in the expression of your voice, your smile. You know, you're in your zone. You just love
I
it.
am. I'm like you with health. We got the health freak and the love freak.
The passion's exuberating through this screen. It's
This is me chilled out. This is me chilled out, Anthony. I haven't even had coffee yet. You've got no idea.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what's your number one tip for healthy relationships in the current climate?
Healthy relationships in the current climate would be come and see me. But outside of that, are we talking couples or are we talking singles?
Let's do both. Let's
do both.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I would say for couples in the current situation, you know, people are losing their jobs. People are stressed. We're pent up at home. We got partners working at the kitchen bench. We got kids running around being homeschooled. It's a pressure cooker. It really, really is. And what I would say, definitely the count to 10 rule. But I think the power of boundaries, like being really, really aware of what every being in that household needs and putting boundaries in place so you can achieve it. You know, if one of you knows that you need a bit of you time every day, take it. Go for a walk around the block. Go do a workout. Really, both of you get clear, and maybe, you know, for the two partners in that situation, maybe write down, this is what a 10 out of 10 day for me looks like. This is what a 10 out of 10 day for me looks like. And then compare notes and problem solve of how the me day and the me day can become the we day, where both of our needs are being met. Because, you know, there's three kinds of relationships. There's independent, which is you're essentially single in a relationship and you're not really lowering your walls, getting vulnerable or really enjoying those elements of a partnership. You're so scared of getting hurt that you're just pretty much single. Then there's codependent, where you're smushed together like this and it's all about we. Whereas independent is all about me. And I think the most healthy relationships are interdependent, which is there's room for the me and the we in the relationship. And the way that you create the we, it doesn't just happen. It's not just, don't just be lazy and think that, you know, you should have this God-given like compatibility and it's either there or it's not. No, it's negotiated. It's here's me, and what does we look like? And if there's anything that clashes, you know, if one person wants to watch sport all week during Corona and the other person wants to watch, you know, spiritual personal development movies, well, don't just butt heads and say, well, you're really annoying to live with and let's have a fight. Get out and negotiate. There's 7 days in a week. Are there boundaries around that where every second day we watch the other one, or do we sit down and, you know, have a TV free day, you know, yours, mine, then TV free, and you need to negotiate that. And it always has to come from a place of win-win rather than win-lose, or how do I convince them to get my point across? It's, you're in a partnership and that's part of the breakthrough and part of the beauty of it.
Yeah. I love that win-win scenario and the way you
always,
you look out for your clients. It's amazing.
Always that way. And when it comes to the singles to have the healthiest romantic relationships at the moment, I would say, like, sort of pinning onto what I said earlier, is don't avoid it because of the climate that we're in. Put yourself out there and have a conversation on Zoom. Pour your favorite glass of wine or cup of tea and have a Zoom date. Get on the phone, have a phone call, add friends on social media, stalk each other's friends and lifestyle, see if you think it's a fit, and have the and be old fashioned and say to that person, look, I'm really interested in someone I can be best friends with and have a mental and emotional connection with. So let's get to know each other and hang out when we have time on the phone or on Zoom, or go for a dog walk, or, you know, go to a cafe. And I would extend the strict parameters, even though they're loosening, and pretend they're still in place. Because for me, that's what the first 3 months of a really, really solid relationship should look like anyway. And I've got some amazing success stories of clients that started as friends and then fell in love once a certain amount of time had passed, and they really built that foundation of friendship. And then the romance was a really nice sort of surprise on the other side of that. So I would say keep the courtship alive and keep the Zoom meetings happening and keep the phone calls alive, and don't drop the ball on all of that just because there's 50 people in a pub at the moment. And don't go back to that way of dating, because it doesn't go anywhere pretty anytime soon.
That's awesome. That's such valuable insights and tips that you've shared with us today for both couples and singles. And you've got so much more to share. So how do viewers get in touch with you to further, you know, tap into your knowledge and to help them stay together and also help them find their soulmate?
Look, I'm going to keep it nice and simple and just give my email today. And I would love to just jump on a initial completely obligation-free call and just find out what's in your heart and what's in your mind about the issue of love, relationships, soulmates, self-love, all that kind of stuff. Or maybe you're interested in becoming a coach or speaker like I am. And my email is Miranda, just like the suburb, or Miranda Kerr. Feel free to confuse me with her. Miranda at Miranda Claire International.com, and Claire is spelled Claire, Miranda Claire International. So nice and easy email, Miranda at mirandaclaireinternational.com. And yeah, just shoot me an email and mention this podcast and the Mr. Amazing Anthony, and I'd love to jump on a call and help and serve however I can if anyone's really resonated or has any questions.
Fantastic, Miranda. So generous and really awesome speaking to you. I personally have learned a lot just from, you know, the half an hour we spent together now, and you know, I really value your time. It's been amazing. I'll certainly put your email contact within the fields below where this is shared, so that people have that. And certainly, you know, if viewers for whatever reason can't find it, please feel free to reach out to me and I'll pass on Miranda's contact details.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
It's been an honor. You're someone I really, really respect in the health space as well. So the privilege and honor is all mine. And thanks for having me.
Really appreciate it. Thanks for the feedback, Miranda, and have a fantastic weekend.
Thank you so much.
Take care. See ya.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.